It's the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? Here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
All right, we are off and rolling. Another Revved Up Sports Show. Not a Revved Up Monday or Revved Up Tuesday because Monday was just a piece of shit. So we have moved this bad boy out and we are doing it Tuesday, and I'm glad we're doing it on Tuesday. Bobby Chaffee's down south. I'm Rodney Rodriguez as we dive in here. Post-Snowball. Snowball in the books. 55 times they've done that over at Five Flags Speedway. And once again, Derek Thorne, the winner, if you didn't catch any of that. But an interesting weekend, to say the least. There was a lot of excitement in the air. There was a lot of controversy. First one, post Ricky Brooks. And that seemed to play itself in there just a little bit. They just could not decide what they were going to do in Tech, it seemed like.
That's what I heard in terms of one of the stuff they were doing over there, is that Tech was a little bit of a interesting, unique place.
Yeah.
More so than what it normally is. It still seemed like they took a good long time trying to Tech. But I heard the rumblings on social media that they there for a minute, they didn't know what they were looking for, didn't know what they were going to do. And that's very surprising. But that's what happens when you don't have Ricky Brooks down there teching for the Derby.
The truck one was the one to me that was the most curious, because you had a truck that was a very dominating truck. I mean, that 3 truck was just on rails and wins the race, and the truck was in there for a long time. And then there was the drive shaft thing. They got it for a small drive shaft, and I saw a lot of folks posting that must have been one hell of a drive shaft, because that dude, he was miles better than anyone else. And I know a lot of the discussion there. I mean, I posted something, I don't know if it was on the Revved Up page or on my page, where there were a lot of folks that were talking about follow the leader, blah, 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 blah. And I mean, that's what asphalt gets. But let me tell you something. When you can pile that many trucks on that racetrack, that abrasive half-mile high-bank racetrack, you run 50 laps. I saw it firsthand. There was good racing in that. Racing America is not going to be able to hone in on everything. You do 50 laps like that without a yellow in the trucks, to me, that's pretty impressive.
Well, that was the way that the show was, right? It's kind of a catch-22. If you get way too many cautions, everybody's going to call it a shit show.
Of course.
And that's what's going to happen. If they tear up a lot of equipment, that's a lot of money to spend at the Derby to tear up a lot of equipment. And then when they don't tear up a lot of equipment and go green to checker without any major incidents, everybody's like, that was boring. What happened? What's going on? But apparently the sportsman class and some of the pure stock stuff made up for a little bit of the non yellow flag action there in the trucks.
Yeah, that got really and it was a tale to me when I got there on Thursday. I mean, it was cold. I mean, I get there, it's cold, it's drizzly and everything. It was a very cold night on Thursday, and I can tell you that was the only time that I put sleeves on, because it was overdressing. I mean, my face is redder than normal because with our backgrounds and dark lighting and all that. Because, dude, Sunday before the race started, I'm sitting in there and I'm drenched in sweat, and I mean, I was dressed, more for the what we were going to get. And the weather was crazy. But then you had the fog. Which the outlaw thing is a whole nother mess that we can touch on at some point. I know there's people pissed off about that, and they should be. That could have been done different. But it's depending who you ask about racing that damn thing on Sunday. So it would be, Bobby, to me, like if the Indy Lights got rained out on Saturday. I don't even know if they race on Saturday, but then you want to move them to Sunday. There's a lot that's going on over there. I talked to Dan Spence, and I'm not going to tell people what he was telling me. I'll tell you later. But that's a tough pill, man. That's a tough pill, no matter how you look at it for the Outlaws.
Well, I mean, the problem with that event is it's the Snowball Derby, right? That is the headlining event. Everybody comes there while the support classes are great, and we know lots of people and have lots of friends that run the support divisions for that. It's called the Snowball Derby weekend. That means that the Snowball Derby itself is the highlight, is the main event that everybody comes to see. Yeah. So you got to understand the prestige is going to go along with that. Could they have run it Monday morning or Sunday morning? Maybe. Could they have run it after? It might not have been a bad idea to wait a couple of hours and run it after the Snowball Derby while you're waiting on Tech. Give you a chance to put you in a 50-lapper right there about 2 hours after the end of the Derby. So it just depends on when they could have done it. I'm sure that they were thinking about it. Nobody wants to have that race where they come back the next week, hell, half the field's not going to show up.
Well, and the thing is with that, I mean, and I'll be the devil's advocate on this whole thing because, they go in there, they take the haulers out. I mean, the haulers got to go, and the haulers go early. I mean, this isn't, the races at 1, we're going to take the haulers out at 10 or 11. I mean, I got there way early on Sunday morning to do some media stuff, and they were gone. I mean, they were out of there. They were parked out in the parking lot. And I mean, that's part of that. So I get that. But then a lot of folks were talking about with the Outlaws, well, they don't have war wagons or whatever. I mean, you can stage them over because in turn 2, you've got the runoff road or the road course or whatever that is over there. I'm not sure what they call it. You can pit them over there. Over there. But what if this comes down to the end? I see it for Tim and those folks, because if it comes down to the end and you have them pitted somewhere different, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for the circumstances that are going to be in place. There was not a winning situation in that at all. And the fog was bad, dude, because I could tell you this. So this the snowflake was taking so long. By the way, Cameron Latham coming up in just a couple of minutes. Casey Roderick, who won the 5-hour delayed snowflake. And then later on, we're going to Spillman's Corner and talking USRA and other stuff with Joe Spillman. But dude, I left. I left the racetrack. I went back to the site that I was staying at. And that place had Bruce and Miss Ellie and Jake, they set us up in a really nice place. Had executive bathrooms, I was calling them. It was so foggy at the end of the flake. I'm walking out to go to the thing, and it's not very far. It's not very far at all. I could not see the building that I'm trying to go take a number 2 at. I mean, it was heavy. It was very heavy. It was not a winning situation at all for the racetrack.
I mean, the fog in Pensacola is like no other place,
it's
right?
Horrible.
It's so weird. The fog is so thick and so dense, and it's we usually see it happen on a Friday night. One night of the Derby is always affected by fog.
Of course.
Usually it's Friday night, right before qualifying, right before the modifieds get out there. But for it to happen on Saturday, I mean, everybody knew the rain was coming. They were talking about on the broadcast, it's just going to be a quick shower. No, everybody had a radar in their pocket. You knew once it was going to start raining, it was going to rain for a little bit, and then it was going to clear out. But I don't think anybody expected it to be a 5-hour rain delay.
And that was really the worst part about it is, I mean, because that track, I mean, with the cracks and everything that you have there, and you don't have like at Mobile. Mobile still doesn't have the walls around it, and it's got places, it's got weepers and everything where you can dry that track off. They're both sloped, banked, whatever you want to call it, about the same way. But when it comes to Pensacola, you've got that guardrail there. It's just not going to allow itself to do what it does in Mobile, where in Pensacola you got grandstands everywhere, and that was the problem. It would just not stop. And then when the dew started in, I mean, I never heard anything of what was being said during the rain delay, but I mean, there had to be weepers coming out of those cracks. Bobby, you've seen those cracks on that racetrack. Those things are huge. I mean, that had to be part of the problem. And when they started the flake, I was still not confident that place was in the right condition to race. But hell, Casey Roderick, who will be on in a little bit, made it look real damn easy once they got going.
Well, I think part of it too, we've talked about it before. The easiest way to dry a racetrack is to put really hot race cars on it. Your safety equipment and your stuff along those lines does a great job trying to keep from losing the track. Granted, at that point, it rained so much the track was already gone. When they bring out some of the different jet dryers and stuff like that. But the easiest way to kind of dry up a few of the weepers is to sit there and let the race cars come over it. Sure, it's going to be slick and crazy and a little uneasy for about 15 laps, but then cars will clean up those little wet spots there in a hurry.
Yeah, and I really think the story of this one, and it's always a story. I mean, because you get into this. I mean, when we had the last chance qualifier, where you had Brad Keselowski, John Bolin, Johnny Clark, for crying out loud, that's been on this show. Boris Jerkovich. I mean, there were so Derek Griffith. I mean, the list was on and on and on of what was going to happen there. And I know from the inside, some of the scuttlebutt that we were all talking about is, man, this is going to be a destruction derby. But this is where you go back to the professionalism of the drivers involved in this. They tore some stuff up at the end. I know they did. But we've watched in years past in the LCQ. I kept calling it the B main. Bobby, my Texas dirt track ass kept coming out over there. I'm like, yeah, that B main's going to be a good one. And some of the Florida people are like, what is that? I'm like, oh, sorry. But anyway, to see those names and the people that did not make the race. I mean, that tells you what this thing has become.
I think you're definitely going to see more of Brad Keselowski in a super late model.
I mean,
I thought he did okay for him to get his ass
no,
handed
Bobby,
to him like
no,
he
Bobby,
did.
he was not good ever, ever that weekend. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to a fan I ran into, and they were like, "Oh, old BK gave it hell. He finished sixth in that last chance qualifier." I'm like, "Yeah, well, hell, they wrecked him all at the end." But dude, he was so far off. Talk about
I think you'll see him in a couple of more races before he ends up hitting the Derby again for sure. I think you'll see him run the New Smyrna. I think you'll see him run New Smyrna a couple of times. For the World Series. I bet.
Yeah. He needs to go warm up at the World Series and all of that, because when you go back to it, I mean, one of the things that I really liked about that race, I mean, they take off and it's so impressive when we as short track fans that may not get to see 300 lap races very often, to just watch how the race develops itself. I mean, because you take off and here's everybody doing whatever they're doing at the first part of that race, and you have to really race the race and race the racetrack. I mean, Bubba Pollard, I mean, what a surge right there. I mean, you should have heard the place going crazy when BP comes up and gets himself to second. It's like, holy smoke, but I mean, nobody had anything for Thorne, but the best example of what you're talking about with Brad is William Byron. I mean, that dude is a short track ace. He worked his ass off on Sunday, and boom, there he is at the end.
Yeah, and I think that's the key is trying to get more seat time and stuff like that. I think definitely you've seen the progression of William Byron. Now, granted, he's been really good equipment. And it's not that Keselowski wasn't in good equipment when he was sitting there in that Fury stuff with Tony Sr. and Tony Jr. You get the top of the pack right there trying to set up your car. I think it's one of those things. He's just not used to driving that style of car. It's been 15 years since he's been in one and had an opportunity to race. So I think, like I said, I think we'll see him at the World Series. They've opened up the floodgates now to be able to let these guys run these super late model short track events. And I think that this is just the beginning. You're going to start seeing not as much as you saw back in the heydays of the 80s when you saw these guys running all over the place night and day. But I think you're going to see these bigger super late model races and bigger events. You're going to start seeing more of these guys in these super late models and these big late model stock car races. That's
right. So Derek Thorne with that win there at the Snowball Derby. Casey Roderick wins 2 races, and we'll talk to him in just a little bit. But I think the biggest star of the weekend, just with everything that happened right there, hails from Mobile, Alabama. And I'm glad to say, I mean, when I saw what was going on, what had happened at the Red Roof Inn, I'm like, oh, shit. I mean, that was the only thing that I could say. But talk about a bounce back and coming in, and this is the man that the short track world was talking about all weekend in Pensacola. It is my friend Cameron Latham. Cameron, how we doing, my buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. How many of these stupid phone calls have you had to do in the last 2 days?
Ooh, I've done a lot of them. I'm not going to lie. I just got off of one 3 minutes ago.
I saw that you were going to be on one there, and I'm like, man, I hope this is going to work out. So I'm glad that we were able to connect, and we won't take a lot of time. I know that you're a man in demand. Hell, probably more than Derek Thorne. So tell us. So what exactly happened? I mean, there were a lot of folks, whatever. But what exactly happened that wound up with your hot rod in the pool there at the Red Roof Inn?
Man, so I had just finished putting the motor in.
Yeah.
And we loaded the car up. I did it all by myself. I loaded the car up and then ratchet strapped it up, and then we were headed down the road. And the strap broke on the rear, I guess. And then when it rolled forward and rolled back, it must have snapped the one up front too. And then the car started passing me, and it went into a swimming pool at the Red Fin.
Oh man, what a mess! Oh my goodness, what a mess!
That's pretty crazy. So wait, so you had the strap down to the tire or to the wheel? Is that where you had it instead of strapped to the frame? That what happened?
So the rear one was strapped to the frame, and then the other one was strapped on the front tire.
My goodness, man, and that's the thing. I mean, I think the whole thing is, I think what a lot of people didn't understand, Cameron, when they saw the car in the pool, they're like, how could that have happened? You have an open trailer. I mean, this isn't
yes,
right. This isn't Derek Thorne, Bubba Pollard. This isn't all these yahoos rolling up in there. You're doing it the old school way. When people say they want open trailers, that's what you do.
Yeah. Everybody, I guess, reckon we had stackers and stuff. I'd like to get me one of those stackers now. No, we have an open trailer, and things happen. You know, this ain't the first time a car's rolled off the trailer. It just was an unlucky situation, and I'm just glad nobody got hurt.
Yeah, no doubt.
So Cameron, what? So when you realize the car's in the pool and you think about it, you pull the car out of the pool. At any point, did you or the team actually say, "Up, we're not going to go to the Derby now. We can't make it"? It seems like you guys pulled an all-nighter and half a day to get that thing back together. I don't think at one point did it come through and you guys say, "Up, can't make the Derby now."
No. So my dad, we had to send him home because he was being negative. He was like, "Don't you take that thing to the track." I was like, "You get up out of here. We're going to the track. I don't play around. We're racing." But no, my guys, they work hard and they know their stuff. So we got it back together, and we didn't get off to the suspension or anything.
Yeah.
But Sean Ferguson, he rebuilt the motor and transmission. I kind of helped him, but the rear end, we rebuilt the rear end, got all the water. Man, it was so much water.
Oh man.
My brother and me, we cleaned the fuel cell out and got all the water out of the lines, took the carburetor off, let the distributor dry out.
Oh man.
And we don't have a lot of money, so a lot of that stuff was the same old stuff.
Yeah.
Like we ran the same distributor, the same ignition box and stuff, the MSD box. All the gauges are ruined in it. We just went about it.
Well, the good thing is, like I was talking before you came on, it was humid and hot, so that stuff kind of dried itself out a little bit. I got a great question here. I don't know if anybody's asked this before, but one of our Texans, Adam Haw, asking, so what the hotel people say when they all this shit's happening and they go out there and there's this hot rod laying in the pool? What was their reaction?
Man, the workers were super nice.
Love
the owner actually came down and looked at it, and he was super nice. He was just glad nobody got hurt. He said insurance would cover it and everything, that he's not worried about nothing. And there's just great people down there at the Red Roof Inn. So
I love it.
I lucked up and got nice people.
That's for sure.
So did you ask him for sponsorship, or is that something you're going to go back to it, right? You met some good people at the Red Roof Inn. I mean, they've always got a place for you to stay. So tell me you at least tried to hook them up. You're going to go back to them and try to get some sponsorship for 2023 for that hot rod.
Well, no, I was just a nobody then, but now I guess I'm, viral. I might need to go by there and stop in and be like, "Hey, let's get a Red Roof Inn on the side of this thing."
Yeah. I think you should, Cameron. You should tell people, I can take my car, drop it in your pool, and you just will get it. We wrap this thing with your hotel's name. So were you able to hear? Because I was up on the top side. So when you come pulling in, I mean, here you come, open trailer, car strapped down, and the story had already been going around. I mean, and it was a good crowd that night. Were you able to hear the ovation that you got? I mean, seriously, I think it really was bigger than when Derek Thorne won on Sunday.
Yes, sir. It was amazing. I mean, it was just a chills moment, that every short track racer dreams of. And once again, we're just lucky that we got that. And we got amazing short track fans all around the world that came. And it was just an awesome moment.
Yeah, I bet.
So you go from that awesome moment of having the crowd be the highlight of the weekend so far. As you get ready to go to the race, were the butterflies still there, or at that point the excitement level of having it in the pool, seeing it in the pool, being worn out from working on that thing, but was it the same normal of butterflies that you always get, or is it just another day at the office for you?
No, we were just sitting there, and I told the guys, I was like, we don't even have to have the fastest car here. I'm going to use the bumper and get whatever we can out of this thing. And nobody was upset because they knew that we took everything that we had to get where we were.
Yeah. And we should say what was left of the bumper, because that thing went in nose first on that wrought iron gate. And then to put it on the podium, I mean, that had to be pretty sweet. I mean, you jump out of that car and it was like, I know that our man Hollingsworth wins the race, but man, you were the guy, man. It had to be cool to get it on the podium after all that happened to you.
Yeah, it really was cool, man. And it's one thing for everybody to know. I mean, for us short track guys to think I have talent, but when the whole world is, tweeting about it and stuff, it's just crazy.
Absolutely.
You definitely need a social media manager now, be able to say that you went viral and you got it. So now that you've got the Derby up out of the way and become world famous thanks to the internet, what's the plans for 2023 now? I mean, are you going to take this newfound success? And I mean, if it was me, I would make a wrap or get at least the bottom portion of the door and stuff and quarter panel painted like it's got a little water flowing through it, so it looks like you're driving through water. That's what I would do. But what's the game plan coming up for 2023 now? Everybody's got a chance to sit down and think about it now.
Yeah, so as of right now, we don't really have a game plan. We done last night. I took the car apart, took the motor and transmission and rear end back out of it, popped the body off of it, and really assessed the damage. And it's got a lot of damage. The frame's bent on it. All the suspension was bent, and the shocks didn't even release. You push them down and they're stuck.
I bet. Yeah.
So as of right now, we're just really gonna ride this roller coaster and see where it takes us. But I am going to go drive one of those Stinger cars somewhere in Virginia for somebody, and we'll have more on that soon.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're just looking for opportunities to drive race cars. I said it on here before. I'll drive anything as long as it's got four wheels.
That's right. You sure as hell have. I mean, it was a great story. I mean, this is the short track racing story of the year, in my opinion. So, lastly, Cameron, let me ask you: all the stupid ass nicknames that people are talking about, submarine. I mean, whatever it is. I said the catfish because it went straight down. And mine apparently wasn't that popular to some people, but. Of all the different things that that have been thrown at you after this, any one of them kind of catch your attention?
Man, the submarine machine, that was pretty cool. It got a lot of people's attention. Somebody drew a picture of it driving through the water, looking like a submarine. It was pretty neat. Yeah. Patriot Public Relations, they put it on a T-shirt as Pool Guy.
I saw that one.
Man, I've heard Scuba Steve. A couple people called me Captain. There's been a couple of neat ones. They've been pretty nice. It's funny. Yeah. We're just having a good time with it. I think it's hilarious.
Good stuff. The skipper, there's so many different ones. I mean, with everything that you've done, man. Dude, I was brokenhearted when I saw the first picture, but when I was sitting up there at the end and there you are on the podium, dude, I was super proud, man. And thanks. I know I reached out right away, and thanks for the nice words on that. But congratulations on getting through all of that, dude. It was a weekend that you will never forget, my friend.
Yes, sir. It definitely was.
Yeah, I bet. Cameron, this phone line is open for you anytime. You got stuff happening. Let's jump on here, whether it's here or the other show, and let's talk racing, dude. Have a good off season. Get that whatever it's going to be called back in shape, and let's go racing in 23.
Yes, sir. And I want to say,
talk about your folks. Yeah,
if we can get a sponsor for Mobile International for the Pure Stock, then if we can get $1,000 sponsor for every race, no matter who wins it, I will start the tail end of the race every race for the rest of the season.
Oh man, there you go. That's breaking news right there. So if you miss that,
so y'all get with Gina. And let's make this happen. We will start on the tail end every weekend.
The tail end. How about that? You'll beat them if it starts raining. Your money, dude. That car is going to beat them. So, good stuff. We'll push that out, man. That's some big stuff. Take care, my friend, and looking forward to seeing you really, really soon, my brother.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You got it. Take care. Here's Cameron Latham. That really is one of the coolest stories of them all. That he was able to pull that off, because that car was sunk, gone. I love it. Benjamin Hurst checks in. He says, needs Rain-X to help. Rain-X would be a perfect sponsor for Cameron Latham after all of that. You could just come up with all the different sponsors that could be a contributor on his race cars after all that.
Somebody just give him $500 from a pool cleaner in Mobile and take care of that.
Well, I kept waiting. And we were talking about this throughout some of the different, locations over there at Pensacola. And it's like somebody, because that car, we're looking at it right there. It's a white car. I expected somebody to go out there because, Bobby, what you were talking about was something that a lot of people were talking about, where you go out there and you put like a water level on there. And some folks were saying, I was talking to one guy and he's like, I think what Latham ought to do is he had to go out there and he had to put something on there to show how high the water was. I'm like, that some bitch was all the way over the car.
Yeah, it was over the car.
It was over the car. I said, there's no way to paint it. He'd have to repaint the whole damn thing. That's how high it went. But that right there is a story. And when he gets to the track, seriously, it was. I mean, you'd have thought Bubba Pollard pulled in there because the people went crazy. And I got to tell you, it was smart marketing by the racetrack because they pull him in the front straightaway and they stop him, to let him know where he's got to park. And it really was. It was super cool. And I was happy for that kid because the Lathams, they worked their ass off. And while it sucks how it happened, at the end of the rainbow, it's very cool that it worked out well for them.
I think so. I mean, I think that it was all over social media. It was even hitting some of those, I call them the third party sports sites, like Drunk Brothers and Drunk Brothers podcast, and some of those, like the pictures of that car underneath there. It said what happens in racing stays in racing. Now they just had the picture of the car. Didn't have the redemption side of it, but just had the picture of the car in the swimming pool. So that he made waves. He definitely for all the wrong reasons, but it turned out all right for him at the end. So
yeah, and that really was the odd thing because I think that's what people couldn't understand. Yeah, folks that were. Because obviously the story comes out and you see the car in the pool and there's people saying, well, okay, how could that have happened? And that's what I was constantly having to remind people. I'm like, it's an open trailer. The dude's he's not in one of these big old things that are parked out here. I mean, it's an open. I have had, luckily at the time, not a race car. It was a shell of a race car. It fell off of my trailer, and man, it sent me and my cousin Frank, who was checking in earlier. I'm surprised he didn't say something about that. It sent us in the truck and the trailer into a mad spin and a scary time. But when you're on the open trailer, that changes everything, and I think that's what everyone was forgetting. And I kept having to remind people, he's not Rick Hendrick. He's coming in the old-fashioned way, and that's what the pure stocks are all about.
Well, that, and nobody would have recognized him if he came in an enclosed trailer.
Right.
On the front stretch, nobody would have recognized that car because Matt Weaver's the first one that saw it when he tweeted it on the backstretch, pulling in the gate. He says, and this car just got here. And the number of comments off of social media, off of that on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything was just going absolutely ballistic.
Yeah, it really was. And that was the whole thing because I talked to Matt and he was like, dude, can you believe that he made it in here? And I'm like, no, for exactly what the Silver Surfer, for everything that he was just talking about, where he goes back into the car. Because that was my thing. I'm like, man, the suspension stuff. What I was concerned about was the fuel stuff. Damn it, I should have asked him about that because that's the one there where you get water with chlorine, by the way, into the fuel cell. I mean, that's where you're really in trouble. So I would assume that's where they really focused in there. The carburetor went in there and got all that stuff cleaned out to do all of that because that was going to be the focus. And then he got out there at the racetrack. I mean, it started out. I mean, he was a little bit off the pace, but he just sat there and he waited and waited and waited, and they dropped the checkered flag, and boom, there he is on the podium. That's a great feel-good story.
It really is. It's great to see one of the local guys, especially one of the local guys from Mobile, have a really good race out there and became the focal point of the Derby. And he's now going to be an everyday hero to everybody for the story of the Derby for years to come now.
That's right. And you heard what he said right there for all of the Gulf Coast Racing Series folks and everything that may be checking in. Spread the word. He said if we can get $1,000 to win in the pure stocks, $1,000 to win, he will start shotgun on the field each and every time. And I've seen him drive his ass off there. So there you go, right there. He's learning. We need to message him and be like, hey, all these people wanting to make shirts, you need a cut. Image and likeness. Image and likeness. Like college
That's right.
football. Yeah, like the portal. Like the portal. You got to make yourself some money.
Well, there's enterprising all over the place. So
That's right. Yeah,
that would be that'd be a good thing to get the likeness out of it. So that's called royalties. Royalties
that's
is what he's
right.
looking
Royalties. Royalties is what that's called. Throughout the show, we'll be talking about, because this weekend you've got a big one in Corpus. You got the South Texas Shootout happening there at the Race Ranch. One of the things that I think is pretty cool that Owen had messaged me over about that whole weekend, and they're going to have fajita cook-off. You see that on Saturday?
I saw that today. Yeah.
Fajita cook-off. That's going to be pretty cool. But some of the information there on the limited modified qualifying. So limited modified qualifying, that's going to be on Thursday night. This is going to be brand new to the shootout. I think it's kind of what they did at the Clash before, but what they're going to do, they're going to allow five limited modifieds on the track at a time for 5 laps. Top 2, from each one of those, groups in time are going to be held in the infield at the scales. The others will be sent to the pits again. And this is going to be kind of NASCAR style. I like this. For an hour, all of the cars sent to the pits will have an opportunity to come back out and try to make a better time. They can go in there and they can adjust. They can do whatever. They can come back for 5 laps, and it's unlimited. It's unlimited, like the buffet, for crying out loud. Unlimited, and the fast time is still going to receive, $300 cash. Second fast time, $100. So I like that segment, and I can only guess for Owen to be doing something like that. They're assuming there's going to be a boatload of limited. Boatload, not to take anything away from Cameron Latham. Boatload of limited modifieds on hand this weekend at CC.
Yeah, going to be a lot of the noise, the needle that it's moving on social media all week from the week before and all that leading up to it has been very positive. People enjoy Owen and his big shows. So this is the showcase event there for the Race Ranch for the inaugural season back as the Race Ranch. So it should be a barn burner. I got to talk to you as to whether or not I'm coming down there or not, but we'll see.
Well, the cool thing about that is depending who gets that fast time. I mean, the fast time, if you get in trouble and you can't get into the race for some reason, if you can't race your way in, you'll get a provisional. So that's another reason right there. I like that caveat right there. That's one reason to go out there and turn a quick lap and be the fastest qualifier. So I like that setup. I think that's something, especially in a full field of race cars, that's going to really bring some urgency to the qualifying there. That's going to be cool on Thursday night.
It always is, especially when you take the tops off, right? It's a total different atmosphere down there when you have the cars with the roofs off. And I'm sure there's some tops that'll come off down there too this weekend, but different story for different class. But they will sit there and line up.
I'll be there too. I'll be there 2 nights, friends.
Oh, that's right.
2 nights,
Friday and Saturday,
topless if available. Men, of course, men.
Well, whatever. It'll the bar will tell stories of this race for a while, right?
I just left Snowball. Let's kind of leave that alone. Just kidding. Anyway, as you were saying, I'm sorry.
What happens at the Derby stays in Derby.
Yeah, and I think this is really a great show here. I haven't looked at the forecast, haven't gone that far out, but I think that everything's going to work out pretty well. I mean, it sure as hell doesn't feel like wintertime or whatever it is here at the moment, so I think everything's going to progress really nicely there. Again, it's $5,000 to win for the topless limited modifieds, $2,000 for the All-Star late models, and then $1,000 for the All-Star late models on, I guess it's 2 nights. And I'll talk about one of the other things. Some of the drivers that are going to be there for the late models is crazy stupid. $2K for the factory stocks, $1K for the pure stocks, and $1K for the E-mod. So stack show, and happening in one of the better venues, I think, in the state of Texas, the South Texas Shootout coming up at South Texas Race Ranch this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Lots of good races. I think the pure stock race will be one of the better races because they've got a really good stout class of pure stocks as they get down there now that are currently racing at the Speedway. Then you throw in a lot of the guys from Edna, a lot of the guys from 105. They're going to show up. That has a chance to be the steel shower right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's going to be a good weekend of stuff. I'll talk about some of the late models that are going to be a part of that as well. So again, just kind of to recap there, we were talking to Cameron Latham, but Jimmy Hollingsworth was the winner of that race. He was our champion out at Mobile. So good race by him. I mean, he got better every race, every year. He wins that one. Your thoughts on the Modifieds of Mayhem? Good race right there with Cody Stickler winning that one over Augie Grill. And then again, with that one, you had a lot of mess at the end of that where springs were confiscated. I had some intel on what they were looking for with all of that. When it all came down to it, I know Stickler was okay within tolerance. So when you start talking about within tolerance, you knew that things had to be close. I think they were looking for rebound or whatever it was. But again, it was a different regime there, and you do. I mean, for all the years that Ricky was doing his thing there, I mean, you got to give him a little bit of a break right there, because that's a hell of a position to jump into.
Well, and it's the same thing, right? Your focus is going to be on the late models. I mean, it has been. That's what we call it. Like we talked about it before. It is the Snowball Derby. That means that's the biggest main event out there for the late models, for the super late models. Snowflake coming in as a close second. All of your energy, all of your teching, and everything else is going to be primarily focused on the super late models and the late models.
Yeah.
There have been stories in the past where, while there have been DQs in the support classes, it's kind of a run what you brung kind of atmosphere there with the pure stocks, the sportsmen, and even somewhat the truck races. But that's kind of subsided over the last couple of years. But for sure, it was definitely the Wild West shootout there. But good to see that they actually went and did the testing on the modifieds. A lot of people were questioning it, but obviously, when you confiscate that many shocks and do that much testing, you're looking for something. Yeah,
absolutely. And it was rebound. I mean, that's what they're looking for. And anyway, it is what it is. Stickler won the race, and he will be, the 2022 modified champion there at the Snowball Derby. Coming up, going to talk to a dude that won 2 races this weekend, Snowflake 100 winner. We talked trucks with all of that. We kind of touched on it a bit, but he won that as well. Casey Roderick coming up right here. It is #Real Race Talk from Texas. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Stick around, friends. Got some good stuff coming up on a loaded program.
Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
Hey everybody, Rodney Rodriguez for CRS Suspension. Are you ready to take your racing program into victory lane? Well, if you are, then it's time to call CRS Suspension, the industry leader in handling technology. CRS now solely owned by winning iStock and late model racer Jeffrey Abbey, whose knowledge can do big things for your oval track success. Give CRS Suspension and Fabrication a call today at 325-330-0647 and learn how you can get the shocks and technical guidance that will put you into the winner's circle. You either have CRS shocks under your car or you get outrun by those who do. Choose to win and call CRS Suspension today and follow them on Facebook at CRS Suspension Fabrication. #Real Race Talk. Cameron Latham checking in our first segment, talking about the hero. And Derek Thorne can't buy a break. He finally wins the Snowball, and he gets overshadowed by a Mobile, Alabama guy whose car winds up in the pool. But good for Thorne. That was good for him. Well-deserved win for him.
So as somebody that was there in person, that first year in 2020 when Thorne went out and waxed their ass and was set to win the race until he got bumped out of the way by Majeski, and he did it again last year, and he did it again this year with just the waxing of the field. Did it have the same intensity about it as it did the last couple of years, or was it one of those you're like, man, here he goes again? It's not near as exciting as it was that first and second year.
I kept waiting, and that was the whole thing that I was tweeting about. Is I'm waiting for this to turn into that. I mean, what we're used to seeing, but it didn't. I mean, it really was to watch the guys that were chasing their way through the field. I think that was one of the biggest things that to me was so exciting about watching that race is to watch how the race kept progressing, and it was, man, it was high pitched and coming to those final restarts. I'm waiting for it, and it never happened because I'm not the biggest fan of that when it comes to that at the Derby. All right, let's jump back over. Let's go to the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline talking about our snowball recap. This guy right here wound up in Victory Circle 2 times, got a top 10 in the Derby, and this guy had a great strategy working his way through the Derby, and we'll talk about that at some point. But we welcome back to our program here on the Revved Up Sports Show. It is our man, Casey Roderick. How we doing, sir?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Casey, talk about let's talk about the flake. I mean, that's one that it's kind of gotten away from you, but man, waiting 5 hours for everything to happen right there, that had to have been one hell of a frustrating part. Especially, it'd be one thing if it was a downpour, but here we are in a slight drizzle. Talk about having to wait that damn thing out.
Yeah, it was definitely a long night for sure. We had a lot of excitement leading up to the race, and just wanted to get it going and take it one lap at a time. But luckily we did get the race in, and saw the checker flag there at the end.
Absolutely.
So, Casey, let's talk about the truck race there. A lot of people were saying that the truck race was boring because it went 50 green flag laps, no cautions, nothing like that. From the racing perspective, obviously you're a hometown racer and got a lot of respect for other equipment. Was it anything but normal for you in that truck seat? I mean, was it one of those you're like, man, you got to get back up on the wheel, this thing's got to catch him? Or was it just one of those you found the pace of the race and you just kept up with it and finished second until the DQ barn?
Well, at first I was trying to, save a little bit, not wear the thing out. And then I got pretty loose once. The truck was loose all day that day, and we had a couple of issues going on that we didn't have time to work through in practice. You only got 30 minutes, so I couldn't get it worked out quick enough. But so it was really free the whole time. I had to drive it a certain way to keep it underneath me and be able to get a good run off the corner. But the guy that won, he seemed like he could just run wherever and make the lap, so he was really strong there, and I found some stuff during the race that helped me be a little faster, and I was doing everything I could, and I was starting to reel them in, and then lap cars got in the way there. I don't know, it was probably 10 laps to go, something like that.
Yep.
And I was so free, I had to run a certain line to keep it from getting out of hand, and I couldn't run that line when I was passing lap cars. So he got away from me, and I started running him back down, just ran out of time.
Yeah.
So I feel like we could have won if I had a few more laps, but I was making a run at him there towards the end.
Yeah.
Didn't have quite enough.
That was a downfall for you. I mean, because you were catching him, and then when y'all caught the lap traffic, that just kind of messed you up right there. But so
That's
back,
right.
so over to the flake. I mean, talk about how this all came together. I mean, you weren't going to be in this campy car. Kind of the same thing there with Lucia, with the flake. I mean, how fast did all that happen, and for you to dive into that thing and put it on the pole and go flag to flag, 100 laps and dominate that race, man. That had to be pretty special for you there with the Snowflake 100.
It was special. I've always thought a lot of Anthony over the past years. I've raced against him, and even back when I was running with Ronnie, we've always talked with each other and talked back and forth, on a regular basis. And I got a lot of respect for him on what he does, and he's been very successful with a lot of different drivers. So yeah, I told him one day, I was like, you know, maybe one of these days we can work together one time and see if we can make it work. And here we are, Snowflake 100 winners, the first time we worked together. So that's pretty cool.
So awesome.
Pretty special for everyone involved. And but he didn't give me much time to get it worked out. He's like, look, I got people, you know, wanting to do it. I just want to give you first dibs at it. And so I got on the phone and you know, got it worked out within a day or two. So just want to thank everybody that was involved with it to you know, to get me down there and have a chance to win that thing.
Absolutely.
So Casey, from a driver's perspective, are the races where you're chasing somebody down and trying to catch them, are they more stressful than the races when you're out front and dominating? Like, when you're up for, like, during the Snowflake, at any point where you're like, man, I'm more stressful now trying to keep them behind them versus when you got to chase the rabbit?
Well, this race is different. I would say on other races, yes, that would be the case. I mean, like if I was second, just say Thorne was leading, I was second, and I was trying to run him down, the cautions would never fly for me at the end of that race like it did when I was leading.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 or 3 cautions there at the end that I had to get through to be able to win. If it was me in second chasing someone, the cautions never would have came out. So yeah, it gets stressful there at the end. But I knew the way. I haven't run very many races in a pro with the restrictors. I guess the last couple of years it's been that way, and I mean, you have no power whatsoever. So it's like running a go-kart on dirt,
I bet.
On an oval. You got to keep it wound up, and it's a momentum game now. And like if you're behind someone, you're going so fast through the corners because you're not carrying any straightaway speed that you get really tight behind somebody, and it's hard to pass.
Yeah.
And if you pinch those cars down at all now, it just kills the momentum off the corner, and it just makes it very difficult to pass. So I knew if I could stay out front and control the race, we'd have a really good shot at it.
Yeah, no doubt. So then we go to Sunday. I mean, after all of that happens, and the fog, and with the outlaw race, and all that shit that, you know, was whatever. We get to Sunday. So for you and your team, I mean, you're not one of those. You're not a Wilson Motorsports, any of that. I mean, that's a smaller team there. You start 25th, and it was just so cool to watch you drive yourself up into this thing to a 4th place finish. And I mean, what folks don't realize, I mean, it's another top 10 for you. I mean, this is I think the 4th or 5th top 10 for you. Talk about Sunday for you. It was a methodical chase for you in the 25 to get yourself right there into the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very, very happy. Of course, you know, we didn't get the win. You know, that's what we're going for. But it felt like a win considering where I was during the week in practice and qualifying 25th. And I just couldn't get any speed out of the car the whole time we were there. And you know, we made some adjustments there Sunday morning before we went to Tech, and you know, just said, well, it's either going to be good or it's going to be really bad. So,
no doubt.
And it ended up working out. And I've made mistakes over the past years of making too big of adjustments on these pit stops and kind of taking myself out of contention. And so I told the guys, I said, let's do baby steps here and just work our way into it.
Yeah.
And man, everything just worked so smooth during the race, and everybody did a great job on getting the changes done and getting the tires on the car, and no one made any mistakes, and it gave us a 4th place finish. So really happy with that effort.
No doubt.
So Casey, it seems like the pace of the Derby's picked up over the last couple of years. I don't know if it's just because Thorne's dominated and just had those amazing laps, like qualifying laps, lap after lap after lap. You've run a couple of Derbies now and have the experience in it. Is the pace of that race, has you felt that it's picked up some, or is it kind of slowing back down a little bit. It just seems like you guys have just been lights out qualifying, except for last couple of years. Except for this year, seemed like it slowed down just a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely picked up. It's so hard now. Like I remember going 6, 7, 8 years ago, and it's changed so much. The cars have gotten so much better, and I think the reason you see the pace has picked up is because everyone is of the same caliber now. They are so close. Like you look at qualifying times, and even during practice during the week, we were a 10th. I was 20th in practice versus first place car, and that's pretty impressive. That many people coming to the Derby and being that close. And the reason that is because you always got one person that's always a little bit better.
Yeah.
And everybody is constantly working hard to try to be better than that one guy.
Yeah.
And so it's people are spending a lot of money, bringing new cars, new technology into the late model world, and it's just created a monster, really.
Yeah. Yeah, really has. And that, we were talking earlier, Casey, before you came on. I mean, the guys that didn't make the race, I mean, you look at that last chance race. I mean, hell, that's a main event at any racetrack around this country. And a lot of guys were taking their ass home. So lastly, for 23, I know it's early to ask, but again, I mean, there's not a lot of downtime. So what's anything in store for you with the 25 super late model? You guys chasing that? Some of the early stuff. I know we've got Speed Weeks and the Rattler and all of that. What else in store for you at this point in 23?
Well, we've got several things in mind that we want to try to do. I'm going to get some scheduling worked out hopefully soon with Platinum, and Miss Mine up in Ohio. They're going to stand behind me next year, and we're working on a schedule right now and trying to put this deal together to where we can hopefully have a shot at winning a lot of races coming up. So that's what we're working on now, and I'm hoping I'll have an answer for you guys on
absolutely
on what we're doing.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
That's right. Good stuff. Way to go, dude. Great win on Saturday night, taking the truck, and a hell of a drive on Sunday, man. As always, appreciate you jumping in with us, and big fans of yours down here in Texas, my brother. Love to talk to you again soon.
All right. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Take care. There he is.
All right. Bye-bye.
You bet. There he goes, Casey Roderick. Now that right there, seriously, that's a great friend of the show. Because that's like one of the first badasses that was like, sure, I'll come on.
Yeah, he's been on the show a couple of times since then, but he had an outstanding run at the Derby, but it was so quiet was what made it so much more impressive. He wasn't in any of the headlines. He wasn't when they were starting to beat and bang there towards the end. You looked up, you're like, well, hell, there's Casey.
Yeah.
And then you looked at it again, well, hell, there you go, a couple of more spots. And then when it got towards the end, you're like, damn, how the hell did you get a top 5? Where the hell did he come from?
Exactly, and that's the thing there. With Toby's team, I mean, that's very much like we were talking to Latham there. That's a homegrown. When we say homegrown, that it's different in a super late model, compared to a pure stock. But with what he did, because it was a hell of a drive, and that's the whole thing. Because you can go back and watch the race, the Derby. Go back and watch this thing on Racing America, and what's always impressive to me is about when this race starts, you take off the first 100 laps. It's like, okay, here's going to be the guys that are going to be the ones. And I was seriously concerned at one point because I looked up and it was Luja, Roderick. I mean, so many of these guys were sitting at a point where they were about to be lapped. And this was in the first 100 laps. And this is where, again, we talk about racing the racetrack and racing the track, or racing the racetrack and racing the race itself, to where you can't throw it all into the first I mean, not even 150 laps. I mean, you get to the cross, I think you get to the cross flags, and if you're halfway close, hell, one lap down, you're still in the hunt. I mean, it's such a race that continues to evolve, and you're chasing the race. You can't worry about Derek Thorne out there, seconds ahead. You just got to keep your nose clean. I was talking to Eddie Lujan. We were talking about, with Ryan, it's like the key for him, and he got messed up at the end, you got to keep it in one piece. Don't get your shit tore up. Get to about 100 to go. If you're halfway close, you've got a chance.
And he was up there with about 100 to go. Apparently,
he
had
was,
some
man.
radio issues and stuff like that kept throwing. I think what's made the Derby so unique the last couple of years is how easy Thorne has made it be to dominate that race. Because when we went in 2020 and he went lights out, everybody in the grandstands just kind of sat around and looked at each other. Was like, we've never seen anybody dominate like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it was like, wow. Then he came back in 2021, did the same thing, dominated again. And at this point, you're like, wow, how does this happen? Then he dominates again, qualifies second this year. Good pole run by Josh Berry, who I thought had a ending to that race that I really was not expecting that car to have. I thought he'd be a threat to win there towards the end. Byron was a little too far back, but you thought he wasn't going to have a chance to win. But a very auspicious end to Josh Berry's day and then the Rackley car. But Thorne's made it look really easy the last couple of years, and it's going to be wide open in 2023 since Campbell Motorsports decided that was going to be their last race.
And that's a huge story right there. I mean, what does Thorne do now? I mean, because one of the things is Derek doesn't come to the racetrack with money. I mean, he comes in and he drives because he's talented and what he does right there. And the whole thing is, it's so weird. I mean, it happened, I think it was past the halfway point. Derek Thorne is now the all-time lap leader in the Snowball Derby. And to think about, I mean, you go back and you look at the resume of Derek Thorne. This has only been in the last, last recent year.
3 years for sure.
Yeah, because it's crazy. I mean, he's led over 300 laps in the Derby, and it's unbelievable to see. And when it comes down to all said and done, that's I think 950 laps that he's led in this race, and that's and he's only won it once. But I mean, if you go back and look at it for him, that's the sucky part is that he could have won this. He could be a 3-time champion at least right now with what he's done.
Oh, he could have easily been a 3-time, 3 in a row there for what he's done. But he those restarts, he did really good. Didn't let him get up underneath him. Didn't let him go. I thought Nasty would have been a little bit more aggressive up on the outside, but I think at that point, Nasty. That from 36 to second, that was a hell of a run that he had just being there. I imagine by that point in the day, he was pretty wore out.
And I have to give a big thanks to Bill Kruger because I was sitting next to him at the Derby. And Bill Kruger is one of the greatest racing minds I have ever known. And I've known a lot. But we're sitting there, and Kruger, Bill had everything figured out. And he's watching them as they come into pit. And he's like, okay, Nasty's got tires. Thorne did not get tires. Bubba didn't get tires. I mean, he's telling me everybody. I wasn't paying that close attention. But so the last competition caution would have been at lap 281. It happened before that. But Nasty, you keep waiting. You're like the whole classy, nasty, or all of that. You're waiting. What are you going to get? And that seriously, that was for me. That for me was the most enlightening thing is that you ran that race with all those cautions at the end. Sammy Smith didn't run over the leader. Nasty didn't run over anybody. I mean, they raced this thing out, and that right there is the way that a lot of races around the country should be run. Exactly what those guys did.
Well, it should be. If you really think about it, it's not unprecedented as to what he did from 36 to. Oh,
he's done that before.
He's done it before.
That's nothing.
Chase Elliott did it in 2020 from 31st to 3rd with hardly any caution flags. So it can be done. Anybody that says you can't pass in Pensacola, just take them to a big race. Is there not enough time when they run the 100 lap of the Twins or whatever it is over there?
Yeah.
But definitely it'll be fun to see how that all shakes out. And you got lots of big stuff happening. You got the Stars National Tour kicking off there.
They start there.
Pensacola. They start there. And then you had the news a couple of weeks ago of the SRL Nationals going to come running a big race in Mobile, April 1st weekend. So then you had the news about this Wheelman stuff today. I thought that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, that's going to be a good back-to-back right there. One-day show there on April Fools, and I really like the way this all sets up. I mean, because you've got the opener there for the Stars, and then you've got the Rattler that lays right in there, and then you got a couple of weeks after that, then SRL back in Mobile. So it's going to be a really good start to the super late model season, and hopefully, just like anything else, it's going to be a matter of how are people going to figure out how to balance all this out now with all the national tours and all that. But I can tell you, Snowball was good. It was a fascinating race to watch all of that happening. Good stuff. Stick around. Next, we're going to Spillman's Corner. Joe Spillman's going to join us, talk a little bit of dirt racing. We'll touch on, once again, the happenings coming up in Corpus Christi this weekend with the South Texas Shootout. But Joe, I want to ask him about some of this USRA stuff. Things are changing, Bobby. Things are changing. It's coming up.
Always.
Hashtag Real Race Talk. It's the Revved Up Sports Show.
Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
Hey friends, Rodney Rodriguez for your neighborhood auto repair and service shop in Cedar Park and Central Texas. It's Computer Age Automotive. Does not matter, domestic, foreign, hybrid, whatever it is, your auto repair and service. Mr. Gilbert Simmental and his great staff there at Computer Age Automotive, they will be the answer to whatever your problem may be. They've been doing it for 35 years, so that tells you something right there. Check engine light diagnostic, computer reprogramming, computer flashing, computer calibration. Doesn't matter, even the diagnostic stuff. Body control systems, engine control systems, power and battery systems. They have the answer for you. ASE certified mechanics. You drive a diesel, they can take care of that for you as well. It's Computer Age Automotive, the Simmentals. Great folks. Hey, they're racing folks, so you know that they can get stuff done. Been doing it for 35 years and still going strong in good old Cedar Park, Texas. It's ComputerAgeAutomotive.com. Tell me you heard about it right here on the Revved Up Sports Show and Revved Up ATX. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Showtime. Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, putting Snowball in the oven after a good race. Great weekend. How about Cole Butcher? That's another guy you want to talk about. I kept watching him work his way through, and great run by him. Big thanks to Casey Roderick checking in after his Snowflake win. And, of course, Cameron Latham. We don't have a nickname for him, but everybody else does. But
I like the
Butcher,
captain.
the captain. That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
The captain, Cameron Latham. I think that works.
That is good. And again, he lays down the gauntlet for all the Mobile Pure Stock guys. If we, whatever, can get $1,000 to win, he will start shotgun on the field each and every race there at MIS. I think that's pretty cool right there for him to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the gauntlet's been laid down. That's what the challenge is going to be for. So it's that time, right? People are trying to get tracks to put up money and stuff like that. Now's the time to start pressing the buttons a little bit, trying to get your tracks involved, trying to get all that stuff happening.
Absolutely.
Now's the time to do that.
Yeah, you got schedules out, you've got rules out. I mean, everything's starting to take shape. But again, you've got a big one coming up this weekend at South Texas Speedway. I do want to talk after we go to the hotline once again. I do want to talk about, like I mentioned, there's some of the late model drivers that are going to be a part of this show at South Texas Race Ranch. It's going to be pretty fascinating to see these late models get after it. And the group there making this series happen. But final time to the hotline tonight. It is the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline, powered by CarQuest tonight, as a matter of fact. It's a buddy of ours, a good friend of ours, a racing announcer partner. Hell, we're having a threesome tonight. I've got two of my racing announcer partners here happening this evening. It is we're going to Spillman's Corner. My man, Joe Spillman. How we doing, sir?
Well, I have one question. Who is sponsoring the beep button tonight? Who's going to sponsor the button tonight? Because that guy is going to make a lot of money.
The beautiful thing, Joe, is we don't have to have that tonight, my friend.
We don't have one tonight.
Yeah, we have a bell. We just hit the bell each and every time something is good. Joe, before we dive into, because I wanted to reach out to you with the USRA stuff, but one thing that I want to commend you about, I commend you about a lot of things. You've taught me so much about dirt track racing. You make me sound like I know what the hell's going on when I really don't. But I think one of the things that you have done, we talk about the Stars of Tomorrow, the limited modifieds, whatever you want to call them, different racetrack.
Yep.
Man, that is so important, and I love the concept of that class because that's the way you teach dirt track racers, young ones, how to move up as they start out.
Yeah, so the young kids coming up, they have to be part of the deal. And, we can do go-karts, we can do whatever we want to do, mini sprints, but until they're out there on that big racing against the old timers, I don't want to like take down what they do in the go-karts, but until they're out there against some old timers and they're going to potentially, get stuffed in the wall or,
yeah, for sure.
They need to learn that,
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
Joe, is that what's the best part about the junior minis is that they get to race with the same kind of skill level? It's like the same thing in football, right? Everybody says you got to make yourself with your conference or make yourself with your division. I think that's what makes the junior mini class so competitive is that they're all right there with that same type of same basic equipment and same type of driving level and driving skill.
Well, and on top of that, they're in the same class, the same race car is what they're older, I don't know, the upper classes racing. Take Trevor Cockburn. He went from racing junior limiteds a couple of years and, was really good at what he did between him and Chris. And this year he won IMCA Sport Mod, the rookie, and so it's like, again, nothing against racing in go-karts and what you do growing up and getting up through that classes.
Yeah.
But when you race the same class and the same potential car of somebody that's coming up and now all of a sudden you're in the same car, that's pretty impressive right there. So
I agree.
I love the junior limiteds and what they did.
Yeah, and I think the coolest thing was, and I do want to touch on this, Joe, before we jump into the other stuff, is what you did, led by you with the junior limiteds in Waco. You guys took them out there. You were teaching them how to when the caution flag comes out, you do this. At the start of the race, you do this. That's the stuff that people never, the kids never learn that. It's like they jump in a seat, they go out on the track, and they're trying to figure this shit out. But you went in there and you taught them.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right. You taught them all that stuff.
Sure.
That's what you need to know.
So that started way back before junior limiteds when we were at 281, and we had the Queen of the Ville. We were letting the ladies race.
Nice. And
they didn't know what the flags meant and how to line up and how to do what. And so we went out there and said, hey, we had like 3 hot lap sessions only for the ladies, only for the people that didn't know what's going on. And the improvement and the lap time was amazing between each session. And that's where this idea came from. I didn't just make this up. Yeah, I make a lot of stuff up, Rodney.
I know.
But
I know.
that's what we did.
Yeah.
And, that people don't always, I get out there with my helmet on. I know what to do. Big Mike or Cosper or whoever knows what to do. But somebody that hasn't been out there every day, all day, they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And that's where this whole concept came from. It's like, let's take these kids, these ladies, whatever it is that's not out there every day, and show them what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. And it's been amazing. We're going to do it again this coming up here. I don't have the exact date yet, but we'll do another, junior limited class coming up in 2023.
Absolutely.
Joe, you think that should be in every class to a certain extent? Maybe have like your bomber level class, maybe a factory stock class, to where you have like a rookie orientation like they do for some of the professional racing leagues. Is there enough room built into the schedule for that, or you think it's more important with the younger kids and then some of the lady drivers?
Well, so when we did our class last year, and we'll do it again this year, it wasn't only limited to kids and only limited to ladies. It was like anybody starting out, here's what you do. And I'm going to step on my foot a little bit. I don't remember the kid's name, but Bobby Sanford brought a guy out in a stock car. And every lap he was spinning out. And we're on the receiver talking to him, and we finally tell him on the receiver, hey, come to the infield and talk to Joe. And so he comes to the infield at Heart of Texas, and I said, hey, buddy, look, you gotta drive by the feel of your pants. When you feel the car coming around on you, that doesn't mean give it more gas. Let off. Let it gather up behind you. That kid did really well. And I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. But Bobby Sanford's driver, and they've got a new stock car this year coming up, did a really good job of listening, learning, and progressing. And I don't care where you're at. You're a junior limited, you're a sport compact, you're a modified, stock car, street stock. If you're willing to listen to people that, have been there,
right,
well, that's going to be good for you.
No, it is. I mean, you need to do that. I mean, it's okay to ask for advice. I mean, it's like in life, it's okay to ask for help. It took me 40 some odd years to understand that concept, but it's kind of.
You're old, dude.
I know. I'm very old. That's why I'm wearing a cap on this program, because my hair looks like dog shit. But so Joe,
you could be like me with no hair.
Yeah, that's what's coming up. And of course, Heart of Texas Speedway, you kick off with the or not you, but they kick off with the Big Chill Enduro coming up February 11th. And I noticed a huge difference, Joe. I mean, because it was gaps between when I was able to be out there and the first part of the year, you guys hadn't had the clinic yet. That's what I called it. And by the time I got back out there, I mean, I could tell a noticeable difference. I mean, these guys weren't doing crazy things. And the whole thing is, and it always pissed me off with a lot of people that would bitch about with the junior limiteds in Waco. It's like, they don't know any better. I mean, why'd they stand on the gas under yellow? They don't know any better.
They don't know.
And they
That's
don't
right.
know where to look.
So,
They don't know where to look. But anyway, you guys did a good thing right there. Joe, so let's dive in here. And you were the one that's why I got the idea and wanted to have Spillman's Corner tonight. So with USRA, obviously you got the two sanctioning bodies now. With factory stocks and everything, the way the bombers, as you say it, the way that they have, the way that they have grown now, and USRA is looking to change a lot of stuff. Your thoughts on all of that? Mainly tires. I mean, it's a lot. And it's what happens in pavement racing, and here it is happening in the bombers. Factory stock, sorry.
So you say there's two sanctioning bodies, and that's actually false. There's three. So we have USRA, right?
Yeah.
Todd Staley. We have IMCA, Brett Root. And then what has always been there is the quote-unquote outlaw. No sanctioning body at all. Outlaw street stocks, mini stocks, street stocks, hot stocks, bombers, and that's what's been there. Throughout, let's just say 25, 30 years, I have never seen a class like the factory stocks, aka bombers. Jack Jenkins, just yell at me. That's okay. I've never seen a class like the factory stocks that has built and became what it's become on its own nationwide, or, okay, 3 statewide, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Okay, 4 states.
Yep.
But that's what the factory stocks have done. They have gathered up and said, we're going to combine, thanks to Gene Boyder and everybody at Architects, and that's what we're going to do right now. And it's done really, really well.
Yeah. Whoa. I think we might have lost him there.
No.
Oh, damn it. Man, and it was about to be something good, too. He's still connected. So,
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Got him back.
Holy shit. I just went off.
What? All right.
Son of a bitch.
No, that's not good.
Dude.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I got you. We got you.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. As you were saying.
So, I don't know. I'm just sitting in my hot tub, and I don't know what's going on.
Oh, the phone fell in there, probably.
No, it didn't.
Oh,
but
okay.
my whiskey did.
That's right.
Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
It's just right there.
That's why we do this show live, buddy.
Huh?
That's why we do the show live.
Yeah, it's all fun. Everyone's like, what's going on over there at someone's house?
That's right.
Anyways, like the factories,
Mm-hmm.
is not to be as successful as the factory stocks.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, all on last same tire, same rules,
Mm-hmm.
and be really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really good for those. I'm a huge fan of the factory stocks because I like stock cars
Mm-hmm.
and street stocks, but what they've done is really, really good. But then you take an outside source, USRA,
Yeah.
and start putting in your own rules, and all of a sudden it kind of disrupts, what we've made happen here, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes sense. But why did USRA, in your opinion, why did you think they felt the need to try to change a formula that is clearly working, at least within the 4-state region with the Arclitect stuff? What do you think made them want to change something that's clearly working with high car counts and big money shows?
So if y'all will look back about, USRA attempted to come in and sanction the factories, and they changed the offset of the cages. They changed the back of how far back the cages could be, and they also changed the diameter of the cages rule. And it really upset everybody, and they kind of like, oh shoot, we messed this up.
Yeah.
And went away. I think they have in their mind what should happen, and it's based on what's up north
Mm-hmm.
and what's not been set down here. And they just like, oh, here's the rules we need to set forth. A perfect example is when they did all this a couple of weeks ago, they had an offset or the back set for the firewall. Well, 90% of the cars out there were illegal. Oh, shoot, let us change that now and make it. I just don't think they did their homework, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like anything, I mean, the class progresses, and when you talk about firewalls and all that, I mean, because we're working on something with the asphalt where it comes back to stock firewalls and all this other stuff, and it's like you got cars that don't have them anymore, and to get that back in there, you start getting purpose-built race cars, and that's where the shit kind of hits the fan, and the bomber part goes out of it, in my opinion. But I do want to ask you, Joe, about the tire. I mean, because I know a lot of the allure is the tire, the cheap tire, $30 or whatever it is, the pull-off, which I've always wondered, and I've seen guys talking this week about mounting that tire on that wheel, and apparently it's harder than I thought, which honestly I thought it was real hard. But so these guys going to the American Racer, is that something that's going to be for them detrimental to what this class has become, or is that the direction that all this shit's fixing to go?
So I've raced a lot. I've mounted a lot of tires in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it's dry slick, the 10-inch tire, the pull-off is going to be just dominant. You got 10 inches of contact versus 8. And I don't care if it's grooved, not grooved, or whatever. When the track is sloppy, when it's muddy, and you're digging out of that, mud on the bottom.
Drop the air.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably that KK704 is going to be a good thing. I want to think, and again, this is probably terrible to say out loud. I want to think, does, American Racer give some kind of on the backside to USRA that,
of course,
hey, you can make these the predominant tire, we'll help you on the backside. I don't know that. I'm not that big of a businessman, but it makes me think,
yeah.
The 704 versus the Hoosier G60. Yeah, the 704 is a better tire. I'll be first to say that. It is softer. It's a better tire.
Well, I can tell you, Joe, I just came from an event to where they let race cars practice way more than they need to. And you know why? Because each and every time that those cars go practice or qualify, they're going to buy a set of tires. So it's a tire business, and that's a bottom line. And I personally, for me, and I'll disclaim here that I have somewhat of a relationship with American Racer, not on dirt, but they're trying to make an impact right here, and I personally think that them doing this is very much a business move. It has to be just exactly what you're saying.
Well, it is, and I don't hide anything I do. I work with the Toms, the Touring Outlaw Modified Series. We require a Hoosier tire.
Sure.
Hoosier has put up essentially the point fund.
Of course.
And you support who supports you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love the Hoosier tire. They also pay me weekly, so it is what it is.
I know,
but you wonder though on the backside, does the USRA and everything the American Racer does, is there a backside of that as well?
Of course there is. Sorry, Bobby, didn't mean to jump on you that time.
Bobby, where are you?
I'm listening. I'm listening to the experts. I mean, it's got to be a business decision. Like Hoosier's not gonna put a point fund on a racing series that doesn't use their tire, right? That makes sense. It's just simple dollars and cents on it. There's got to be some kind of kickback involved with American Racer and USRA,
of course,
just because you're not making that investment, not requiring that tire for you didn't just pull that out of thin air and say, well, holy shit, this is a really good idea. Let's switch what's been working and let's go do something completely opposite of it without some kind of financial incentive going from one place to the other.
And let's be really honest right now, is in all of Texas, I only know of 2 USRA tracks. And that's the Rocket,
yep,
Mr. Sester, and I love Kevin, he's my buddy, and Jim Moon at Big O. Short of that, there's nobody else that I know of running those rules.
Yeah.
So, you know what? If you race there week in, week out, you battle your Damians and you run the 8-inch and the KK 704. If you run anywhere else, you know, Abilene, Cotton Bowl, Hot, Kennedale, Boyd, well, just keep what you're doing and do what you're doing because that's where you're at.
Yeah. And I personally think, I mean, I saw a comment there about if you want to run a racing tire, run an iStock. I've said it so many times because Lord knows, drink up, friends. The iStocks are the favorite class of Joe Spillman. I think that would be the class for me that and I don't know, you know, I get the whole tire thing, but it's so funny for me, Joe, and you know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But when people say, I only spend $30 on pull-off tires and all that. And yeah, hell, I'd run a 10-inch tire. Are you kidding? I mean, that's a no-brainer, despite the price. But it's like, the tire, I'm saving money on tires, but shit, by the time I get the car built, you know, do whatever it's going to do with a motor, $30 a tire? Shit.
Yeah, you're. I mean, okay, you spent $20,360 or $20,390. Does it really matter at that point? No. So
yeah.
I don't know. I you know, I'm not a big bomber / factory stock guy. I like the class.
Yeah.
They race hard
For sure.
but they tear a lot of stuff up. And in reality, put some weight jacks in them, give them some real shocks and real engines, and let's get out there with iStocks.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where I'm at.
That's what I'm saying.
So is that the battle there? I mean, is there still a need for both classes at a track, Joe? I mean, obviously the factory stocks is the hot class and everybody wants to run it, and that's the class that pays $5,000 to win and all that for these big many races. Then you got the iStocks over here, race them all over the country, anywhere you want to go. Change the name of the class from iStock to stock car, depending on which section of the world.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, technically they're called stock cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, is there still room at a modern day racetrack for both classes?
So that's the question. That's the $1 million question.
Mm-hmm.
You go up north, go to Nebraska, go to Boone, Iowa, go to wherever up north. They have stock cars. They have hobby stocks.
Mm-hmm.
That's your two choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get on a little bit of soapbox here, so just ride with me, guys.
Spillman's Corner. You do
but
what
we
you want.
But we come down to Texas, and we got stock cars. Oh, we got street stocks. Oh, we got factory stocks. Oh, and we got pure stocks. Well, let's not forget the limited pure stocks. And we got 6 stock car classes to do what they do up north in 2 classes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I hate to say it. Listen, I know you're not really good in a factory stock or a street stock, and you kind of suck a little bit. So we're going to create this class for you to feel a little bit better about yourself. So we're up north, they're going to say, what do you want to be, A or B?
Mm-hmm.
That's your choices.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a stock car? You want to be a hobby stock?
Yeah.
That's your choices.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Rodney, you're in real estate, same deal. You want to sell the $2 million houses?
Mm-hmm.
You want to sell the, you know, the $10,000 houses or the whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in real life.
Yeah.
And so.
And that's the thing, and that's what happened on pavement around here, Joe. And I think I mean, no offense to all our friends here, but it's a Texas thing. I mean, it's the all-included thing. I mean, because in my opinion, that's what killed asphalt racing. It's like, okay, you got all these guys that want to spend this money. Well, let's create this class, and then 3 years later, here we are in the same damn predicament where we've got no cars in this class. Okay, let's create another class for these cars. But anyway, so. I don't really think. I know we had a question there about what all. My man Mel Krause checking in about what all has changed with USRS rules or USRA rules. I don't really think that impacts anything, and that's kind of the underlying issue. Is it doesn't really impact anyone in our area because there aren't really any USRA tracks. I don't think it sounds like
Not on the factory stocks.
Yeah.
Rocket and Big O, the only two in our area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing. If you want to talk about it, like Facebook and social media, everybody gets all up in arms about all this shit. But in reality, how many of y'all are going and racing in factory stocks?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're going to get out there and race factory stocks, okay, you have a voice. But 99% of everybody commenting and raising hell and bitching, y'all aren't out there anyways, including me. I don't race, but that's the problem nowadays with social media and Facebook and Instagram and everything else.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, that's kind of what drives everything, and that's why we say go to LoneStarSpeedZone.com. We'll have great conversations over there. But I mean that really is the thing. That really is the thing. So anyway, but I after reading your post and just looking at the changes there, I mean it's something that I don't really think it's going to affect anyone around here.
It won't affect. It won't affect. 75-80% of us.
Yeah.
Take Tim Homeyer, some of those guys that really do travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to factor that in. But I think after some research and development, we call it R&D,
right.
in the world.
That's right. That's right.
Is the KK704 a lot better than the Slick? I don't know. I don't think it will be.
Well, and Joe, that goes back to and coming back to like me on the asphalt side is the guys that are going to travel and do it. So what? I mean, it is what it is. They're going to do whatever they need to do. I mean, they're not going to jump on the Facebook and bitch about it. I mean, if I want to go race wherever, I'm going to do what they ask me to do and adapt to it. And that's what a lot of people just need to take into consideration, in my opinion.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know the answer, and I don't think there's a great answer. Crate models or crates or, KK704 versus slicks, whatever. Everybody's going to bitch. Everybody's going to complain. In the end of the night, everybody's going to go race and make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I totally get that. And that's kind of what it's all about. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just get out there and do your thing. But Joe,
by the way,
yeah,
we have a super awesome race coming up at Heart of Texas Speedway. We have an enduro coming up in February, I think.
Yeah, February 18th, I think it is. Yep.
Yep.
Or 11th. Sorry, I think.
And you can bring your stock car or your factory. You can bring KK704s.
Whatever tire.
You can bring slick. You can bring whatever you want to bring. Just come on over to our Heart of Texas Speedway. Yes.
Yep. Let's add dwarf cars, man. Even though I'll get run over, I've got one that I could go run.
I don't think we want dwarf cars. I'm sorry about it.
I totally get that. That's totally good. That's totally good.
But yeah.
Thanks for the intel, my man. As always, always a pleasure to talk to you, and good stuff right there. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're an ambassador with the emphasis on ASS for the sport.
Yeah,
ambassador.
We're sitting in the hot tub right now, having a drinky drink, and
who all you got in there?
Talking about racing. Huh?
Who all's in there?
Me and Sophie the dog.
Oh, nice. I love it.
And whiskey. That's what we got right now.
Well, hell, I was hoping to talk to Mrs. Spillman, but that's okay. Maybe she could sing us a song.
She's probably out.
Yeah, so. She gone. Yep, I get that. Always a pleasure.
$2,500 to win at Heart of Texas Speedway for the enduro race. Don't forget that.
Yep, so. That's right.
Don't forget also the Junior Unlimited. So I'm going to slip slightly into my promoter. Sophie, stop licking me. Stop.
That's a hell of a promoter.
So Sophie's my dog, not my wife.
I know.
Flipping into that, Junior Limiteds, we are going to promote and get at the end of the year in 2023, the Junior Limited, a complete engine at Heart Attack Speedway. So we are going to get everybody involved, and we're going to get a rotating assembly, bottom end, a top end, a block, and it's going to be oil pan to intake, and I want to get more for the Junior Limiteds.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working towards in 2023 at Heart Attack Speedway.
You need a 602 or 604. Hit me up. I can put you in touch with people.
Okay. So, actually, if you have a 602, Rodney, I'm probably going to call you in about 3 minutes once we get off the air.
No, I can get you. I can get you in touch with people that have 602s at a great price. Okay. Got them in the crate.
I would love to do more than one, because here's what I want is to give away almost to everybody that raced at Heart Attack Speedway in the Junior Limited something.
Yeah.
Whether it's a carburetor, air filter, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just give them something.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Good stuff. Yeah. I'll talk to you about that. All right, my man. Have fun in there. Don't drown.
Well, the good thing is nobody's going to yell at us for cussing, because the last time we did this, we got yelled at for cussing.
Of course. Yeah, they shut it down, but that's okay. There's a certain number of those you can drop and you'll be okay. So we good. This one will live. This one will live on in infamy.
All right, buddy.
All right, dude. Talk to you soon.
See y'all soon.
You bet.
All right, out.
You got it.
Hey, Joe.
Bye.
There he is, Joe Spillman in the hot tub with the pup, and that and that's what I was hoping that he was going to talk about. I saw a bunch of outcry there with the USRA and the tire thing. I know the tire thing's a big deal, and it was like, of the tracks that I think that most of the people that watch and listen to this program, I don't think any of them are really affected, and that just kind of goes down to it right there. And that the people that want to do, and it's like. Just like asphalt. I mean, I see so many teams that if you got to run American Racer, you got them on your rack. And the Hoosiers, I mean, you got them all there. If you're going to do this, and he mentioned some guys right there that maybe they're going to do this, they're going to go buy that American Racer, and that's what they're going to do, and they'll adjust the car to that. But not anything that's going to affect the class, because these are all IMCA tracks here, and like we said, the outlaw part ain't nothing, ain't nobody to change it. Only the racetracks to change it, but I guarantee you, if I had 40 cars coming in my back gate, I ain't changing shit.
Ain't changing a damn thing.
Yeah. So good stuff there from him. I like that.
Well, some of it, I mean, obviously we know there's an economic impact on everybody.
Yeah. No, I know. But I think everybody just needs to calm down. It's going to be all right. You're not going to be affected unless you want to go to a USRA racetrack. And if you're not going to one, just like he said, just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to be just fine.
Yes. Yeah. I don't see any of the promoters here changing the rules, because they're still getting 20 to 25 of them popping up at every single race, and 40 to 50 popping up at the big races.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It'd be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that big race coming up, you got the South Texas Shootout that's happening this weekend at South Texas Speedway. As we take you out the door, let's talk a little bit. Let me go here to my notes that Owen sent me over. So with the late models, notable folks that you're going to be having. I mean, just think about this. I mean, not only are you going to have all the stars of the limited modifieds and that great qualifying concept that we talked about right there. If you get the fast time on Thursday night, you'll lock yourself in on a provisional, and you'll get $300. So it's kind of that open qualifying where you still have an hour to go out there and try to knock the guy off of the mount. You'll have all of that. But some of the guys, some of the late model drivers that you will have, Caden Honeycutt, damn good wheelman right there, Dean Abbey, Shane Hebert, Corey Neal Jr., Jeffrey Abbey's going to be there. Of course, Ray Allen Kaholnick, he'll be a part of that as well. Brandon Brzezowski, Cody Hartage, the Doyons are going to be there. That is going to be a stacked field of late models, and they're going to be doing it 2 nights. So I see that being a very good thing this weekend coming up at South Texas Race Ranch.
And if you can't be down there in person, which you should be down there in person, you catch everything on all our media partners at Race on Texas, every lap live with your announcer audio.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'll be there calling that. So looking forward to heading back to Corpus. Hadn't been there in a while. Go take a look around and see what all's been happening there. Looking forward to see a lot of old friends. Hopefully that'll be out there and get a part of the fajita cook-off there for the teams. And no entry
Maybe
fee.
you can be a judge.
No, I think they got somebody. They got a judge. I don't want to be a part of that because the bad thing is people would figure out who the judge is, and I don't want to get slaughtered on my way out of Corpus. They'll be pissed off enough about what I say about them. I don't need to for that to happen there with that. But I think that's going to be a good weekend. You going? I think that'll be fun.
Working on it. Logistical challenge. Going to Orlando, but we'll see.
Oh, got it. Oh, that's right. Yeah, y'all are bowl bound. So that's a good thing. Great program here tonight. We talked to Cameron Latham. That is the guy that stole the headlines there for a bad reason, but it wound up in a very good situation. Always good to talk to our man there from Mobile, Alabama. Casey Roderick, great friend of the show, as he jumps in, winning the Snowflake 100. His first Snowflake 100, gets top 5 in the Derby, and he also wins the truck race after the end of all of that. And, of course, Joe Spillman checking in there. Spillman's Corner, we'll have to call it. I think he's going to kind of be our technical guy to jump into when we need to get those resources that we may not know about when it comes to dirt track racing.
Yeah, well, he's the guy that's in the know, right? So we only talk to the people that are in the know on this show.
Oh, you got that right. That's why we call it #Real Race Talk. Talked to Don Halford this weekend. He said, the day that you guys go PC, I will never turn that show on again. I said, well, don't worry. It ain't going to happen.
It ain't going to happen. Don't worry, Don. Not going to happen.
It will not happen. He said, best from him, best racing show in the country.
If only more people knew.
That's right. They're figuring it out somewhere. Lots of places to consume this. We are back next Monday as we will recap the shootout and hell, who knows what else. Your week, my friend. What else is on tap?
Playing catch up at work. They just announced a river parade on Friday night for the UTSA Roadrunners for their championship. So may go to San Antonio to do the river parade, watch the river walk, and then may make it down to South Texas, the race ranch there on Saturday night.
Gonna be a good one. Look forward to seeing you in Corpus. #Real Race Talk. Share it and share it often. He's Bobby. I'm Rodney. We're gone.